Hello, we are back, burning some wheels.
in
I
which I
think
say, I'm totally ready, and then take a huge gulp of water. It's just
okay. I'm vamping. It's
cool.
good. I figured out why my bookshelf fell, so I have to share this with everybody. So what happened is, so here's the shelf for folks to see. I've switched around. I've put the unicorn at the end so that it will because it's heavier. But what happened was when I took normally I can take a single book out of it and it doesn't make the books tip too much. But I took two giant books out of it. I took both of these honkers out of it. And if you take both of these out, that means that the amount that the other books will tip over is significant. And apparently that was just enough that eventually it just shoved the whole thing over. So now I know if I want to pull both burning books off the shelf, I gotta cinch up my bookends. So yes, so the burning wheel did in fact cause this calamity, if only in absence.
Cool.
All right. Yeah. So Rasmus leaves. Is that true? Is that
Yeah, I think he gets up
offers?
to go.
Yeah.
And Bazor says, did I detect a spell cast? I felt a wind go by.
She like pulls a little bit out of her stew and feeds it to Fennec.
Nice.
And says, when in the presence of wizards, and it's like that. It's like there's a mantra, like when in Rome, but there isn't
Yeah.
one. There isn't
Yeah.
like a like like it's saying about this, but she acts kind of like there is, and she's like, I needed some help to figure out 3 chores. I didn't know I had to do 3 chores.
You don't have to do anything.
It sounds like the Arch-Mage is supposed to go and summon a spirit, or I think I'm going to say it. She has to go and bind a spirit, create a legendary artifact, and develop a new school of magic. Like she's blowing all of them up. Like
Yeah.
she's extending all of them up.
And he says, it is not quite that dire at all. In the slightest. So take it easy.
What do you think will happen when we go to Wheelholt? And
I think we will see what it's like when groups of wizards get together. We will see where the church sits in all of this and the different powers that be that want to have control over someone with that title. And
is someone going to take the wheel down from the mountain?
someone could very well try.
And if they fail, they'll be burned to death, alive, badly.
Yes.
And there's only one Arch-Mage giant born every generation.
That is what they say.
So if this guy out here, Kaji, that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
I was very clever at getting the name of another wizard, and I didn't tell him mine, but he knew it anyway.
I was hoping you would be obscure enough to just stay out of sight for a while, but it looks like that's not the way it's going to be.
I thought I was too. I thought I was being very clever. I snuck up on him and overheard his conversation, and then offered simple service without making any illusions. Never mind. I messed up. Luke just kind of confirm, was his name is Kaji? Is that correct? Did I get that right?
It's spelled a little differently. It's a Chechen name.
Ah, yeah. Thanks. KHA.
KHADZI. Yep.
Uh, and she's like still sort of sour about it, but it's not really. Is not really. Doesn't want to like blow up on Bezor, at least not immediately. So yeah, she's sort of frustrated that she didn't, wasn't craftier. But when she says, so if there's only one Arch-Mage per generation, and this man Kaji is the Arch-Mage, and he takes the wheel and carries it down and goes on a date with it, or whatever they do once the Arch-Mage takes. No one ever talks about what the Arch-Mage does after they take the wheel down. By the way.
I think he laughs when you say like has a date with it. Like he literally like snort laughs. Like, yeah.
She doesn't know. She's like, I don't know what happens after you do it.
Yeah.
Then if that all happens, then what have we been doing? Why have you been training me?
Let's get something very clear. I have been training you for none of this nonsense. You are ill prepared. I think this is all a show for a title that is meaningless.
I don't think it's meaningless.
Okay. If it has meaning to you,
the title might be meaningless. Arch-Mage might not mean anything, but the Lord of Fire is. And she like makes the sign of the wheel and says, it can't mean nothing that somebody can take the wheel down from the mountain. And it can't mean nothing that the elves count the ages by how often by when it happens. And the titles, I don't know. That might just be stuff we made up. Arch-Mage might just have come from an old man who had a bad back. And
all right, well, let's think it over.
For what it's worth, people watching, Nara has the believer trait, which means she is very she accepts the truths of miracles and the power of faith. Miracles are easier to perform on her, and it's because her mom like did all the stuff in the name of the wheel, and she thinks that has to mean something. So anyway, that's just done.
I happen to agree with you. I don't think all of the events around this mean nothing. I don't think holding an artifact put on Earth by a demigod that we can go outside and see burning on a mountaintop that is administered by dwarves who have been there for centuries, if not longer, and have been managing this thing so that its power goes to the right places. I do not think that kind of power in someone's hands is meaningless. I do not think the Lord of Fire is meaningless. I think all of this pomp and circumstance and that asshole outside who you followed, who wants to have the word Arch-Mage on his title, so that because he isn't used to being told no, I think that is rather useless. I think if you were to become a full wizard and decide that Archmagery is something you wanted to pursue, and so you looked at the 3 chores as an outline for that and decided to learn enchanting and whatever crafts are necessary to do it, and summoning and circonation so you can summon things safely, because as unsafe as sorcery is, summoning is far less safe. And if you wish to create a spell and contribute it to the great Arch-Magery canon, I think those are fine goals. Whether or not you end up with the name Arch-Mage in front of your name, you will become quite a wizard pursuing that. However, what I don't want is someone who I taught to end up a charred husk because some wizard, noble born no less, told her after she picked some toys up off a table that she was the Arch-Mage. It's nonsense. These nuts are great. What are these? Do they grow around here?
Yeah, they're it's a tree nut.
That's good. Fennec, have one of these. Fennec grabs them. Eats.
Nara doesn't object or protest or disagree, but it's very clear that she isn't satisfied, and it's not because Bezor is like withholding or being untruthful or anything. It's because she saw this idea in her head that like this is going to happen any minute, right? And there's only one chance in a lifetime to do it. So this whole like, if that's what you want to do in your future, then go for it, doesn't make any sense or doesn't add up, because she feels like she's got to do it like tomorrow or, you know, as soon as they get to the whole wheel hole. So she's not disagreeing with him, but it's very clear, like from her facial expression, maybe even just staring into the fire, that like she doesn't feel like that's enough.
Yeah.
You know,
you were hoping this would happen faster. Your timeline, you were disappointed.
It's not even that I hope it happens faster. It's just that I think it needs to. Like, again, I can only be from the generation that I'm from. And if an Arch-Mage only happens one generation and Kaji is the Arch-Mage, then I clearly am not. So I can't attain that. And maybe, like you said, that doesn't matter, but maybe it does matter. And I don't know. And it just seems like I only have one shot at this, and it's coming up very soon, and I'm very ill prepared. And much as I want to make my mother proud, and I want to do what the elves think is destined and ordained to have happen, I don't think I can enchant a thing or summon a spirit safely or unsafely.
That's because you cannot. You have not been taught to do such things.
Seems like maybe this is a conversation we could have had a few years ago.
I think he laughs. He like, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing in your face, but I am laughing, and I do happen to be in your face. But I don't want you to think I'm mocking you to your face.
I don't feel mocked. I just, I feel like you know something I don't, and I don't feel like it feels like it's one of those things that you have to learn in life and not by somebody telling you. Or I think she's just like kind of hit it. She's sort of like hit her emotional capacity to deal with this.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think I need to talk to you about this later. And I wouldn't say storm, like, I think she digs into her stew. I don't think she storms out, but it's kind of like this conversation's over.
Yeah. I think he realizes that you need to go, and he throws you his like a bracer that he wears on his arm, and he says, take Fennec with you.
She gulps down, like she like does that not really healthy thing where you're like just shoveling food into your mouth because you're about to step out, and like trying to get as much of the stew in before she goes, and like with a mouth full of stew, like downs a bunch of cider, and then puts on the bracer and kind of like moves it over to be just, you know, in front of Fennec so he can step up onto it.
Yeah. he or she grabs your forearm with her clawed her kind of clawed hands, and yeah, um, and kind of like nestles into you under the elf cloak.
Nice.
And where do you go?
I kind of want to like, um, I know this sort of puts you on the spot to have people converse with each other. So tell me if this doesn't seem interesting to you, but like, I kind of want to go around because I imagine there's lots of people in camps right now because there's lots of
Yeah.
folks that are like camping, and I kind of want to, my belief, let's pull this up. I'm supposed to carry the wheel down from the mountain, but nobody will tell me why. I'm going to find out what happened to the last Arch-Mage that did. I kind of want to sneak around and listen in on people's conversations and hear if anybody has a story of the Arch-Mage, whether they're true or not. It kind of doesn't matter if it's like I mean, I don't actually expect that these random pilgrims will have the truth.
Yeah.
But so this doesn't need to be like a stealth test or I mean, it could be, but I think I'm going to kind of just try to walk through the various little fires that are there and try and listen in. Maybe using Aura Sight to see if I can sense a wizard and then like pay attention to them and see if I can hear any stories of what happens to the Archmage after they take the wheel from the,
Yeah.
Because that's yeah. Yeah, Luke says we want some apocrypha. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I think I'm not gonna make you roll for that. I think there's straight up, a like a newer room added to the kind of the smaller eating room where you're in now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's a bard, like a straight up D&D bard.
Nice.
Probably not casting spells like a D&D bard, but
right, a minstrel, yeah,
totally with a lute and like toss a coin for your witcher type shit. And yeah, they are singing a song about Igna, about the fourth Archmage, and how they bound a spirit to the roads to keep people safe.
What's their fourth Archmage's name? Igna?
Igna, yep.
Igna.
And yeah, he has a song about Igna and how a bunch of wizards tried to become the Archmage before him, and people just didn't think that he was ever going to do it. And then he's eventually he did. He just kind of like was the tortoise, and it's kind of like a tortoise and a hare type story. And then it talks about how he took the wheel down and like made the road safe, and then there's like a sad last verse about when Igna grew old and had to put the wheel back down and was too old to carry it back up the mountain. But Prince Bilot said, like, it's okay, my old friend. You don't have to carry this anymore. And yeah, Igna's last request and last thing that he did was to bind his ghost to Shadowholt, this town that kind of pops up, this like pop-up town that pops up when the Archmage is chosen. And so that future Archmages or future wizards could come and consult with him. And yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I want to impress this minstrel because I want to see if I can learn more of their stories.
Yeah, and I think like
Um,
he's like getting, you know, coin in his hat, and he says, "Come back tomorrow, and we will have a song about the founding of Ostafair." And like people like bristle, like, "Oh, the founding of Ostafair! Oh my goodness!" And you know, another Arch-Mage song, you know, and yeah,
um, I think Nara is because was this story told in a song, or was
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was totally like lyric poetry song
Yeah,
type thing. Yeah,
yeah. This is just like I have to do this because it's a callback, but it's also literally the only, you know, the only thing that I'm thinking of right now. I think Nara says, you know, when he's like, "Is everyone to go?" He's like, "That's a." She's like, "That's that story." Uh, she says, why do all the Bard's songs end sadly? Why do they all have sad endings?"
you
Um,
sing a song long enough, there's going to be a sad ending. Someone dies, someone else misses them. It all depends on where you ended it. I could have ended the song with the roads being made, and it would have been a glorious, victorious song. But I'm trying to do a different Arch-Mage every night, and so I wanted to sing it as complete as I could.
um, she says, "I know a song that started sad, and it was sad for generations, um, and then, um, and she just like kind of bites her tongue a little bit before she like is a little reluctant to say this because she doesn't kind of like calling she doesn't like leaning on her mother's laurels, but she's like,
Yeah,
I know a beautiful song is very, very sad, but had but after long after the song was had been sung by hundreds of minstrels, uh it had a happy ending, and instead when everyone thought it was when everyone thought it was doomed. And she's trying to like egg him on to see if he wants to hear her song because that's how
yeah.
she thinks she can impress him.
He he like steps off the stage and says, like, and nudges, like, "Do you want to get up on it?" And says, "I'll announce you if you wish to sing."
Um, yeah, yeah.
Come on.
And this time she says it with more conviction than she did last time. But she's like, "I'm just the fire tender," and like as she says that, she goes and like throws a log onto the fire and then goes up on the stage.
Nice. I think like
Uh,
when you step up, like somebody like applauds, and I think like people were talking, but then like, you know, they stop, and they start listening to you.
yeah.
Uh,
So
you
I want to
wanna,
sing the Soldier's Lament,
yeah,
and I want to add a verse about how many years later, a shoeless peasant,
yeah. You're gonna
like
add your mom's verse.
I'm gonna add my mom's verse. I'm gonna add
That's
Bina's
awesome.
verse to it
That's
to
awesome.
it to like
Um,
take this. Everyone knows it's a sad song, and I have a new ending for it.
love it. Uh, yeah, I think
Let's,
make a roll. I'm gonna say if you fail, they stab out your eye. No, I'm joking. That's a callback.
it's a
If you,
bad callback.
it's bad. I'm calling it back because I'm so uncomfortable with that scene. I can't believe it actually happened, and that you're still my friend. The I think I'm going to say every success is going to be a cash die you get,
Oh
and
wow.
and uh, and if you fail, I think you just kind of get like gong showed off, right? You just kind of
Yeah.
get like I think the bard will like gently, yeah. If you fail, yeah, if you fail, you disgrace the name of your mother forever. Thank you, Luke.
No, Luke, I will not accept that. Well,
And I think the bard gives you a helping die because he like starts playing as he realizes what song it is because everybody knows this song here.
nice. Yeah, yeah. You can pick it up after the first few notes, and you can go along. Um, Rad. Okay. Yes, I'm gonna make a sing roll. I should have cast a spell before this to help me, but I don't think it's the right time.
Nope, probably
Um,
not.
I think the only thing,
And I think like we should talk about that, right?
yeah,
I think what we're figuring out is that it's kind of harder to cast magic subtly.
I think so
So
too.
can we kind of agree on that, just so we kind of figure out what magic looks like in case you ever have to cast it subtly?
Yeah, I think spells that you have woven into the fiber of your being maybe are, which is like you learn a
Yeah,
spell after you cast enough times, are easier to do subtly. Until then, it's you have to really like I think it's just like a lot of skills where, you know, when somebody's really good at something, they can do it deftly and it looks almost effortless. And
yeah,
when somebody's learning something, they have to like really go through all the motions. And so I think
yeah,
a lot of the subtlety of your spell has to do with how good you are at casting it.
yeah.
And so yeah, so for Nara, it's for the most part pretty big, obvious motions.
Cool. And do you like while you're singing, do you like keep Fennec under your cloak, or do you put her on like a nearby beam?
I think she goes on a beam. Yeah,
Yeah. Cool.
yeah,
Cool, cool.
yeah. Um, yeah, so it's Andy says spoopy, sad, sincere. That sounds sort of like this spell is right. Um, can I fork in obscure history, because I am kind
Yeah,
of taking in these old
totally.
details and adding in new ones that other people haven't heard. Awesome. I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else for this.
Luke says, "What if you spend too stressed to flashback to casting a spell?"
That's called instincts.
Yes.
And I might totally make an instinct about always cast a spell
Yeah.
before, you know, something.
Oh,
Always
interesting. Yeah.
that I think that would be a really good instinct to take. So,
Interesting.
um,
Yeah. So controlled, great. Make your roll.
Sean's mom officially obscure history. Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right. Okay. I'm getting two. I'm forking and I'm getting a bonus die. Do I want to spend my one persona on this? No. I think I have the one. I don't know. It's for my mom. I care. Yeah, I'm gonna spend a persona on this. It's weird. I don't know why. It's just
I
that I
love it.
care. I care about this role. So
Yeah.
let's pull it up. So yeah, was it one going to 0? And yeah, you said the ob is it's just a scaling ob.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
One with a base of 1. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Nara kills it.
Yeah.
Let's see,
Nara does kill it.
They're getting 6s in there. I got a 6. Do I want to spend my 1 fate to explode that 1 6? Yeah, I do. I don't know why. I don't know why this moral means so much to me, but it does.
Yeah.
For some reason. No, it did not pan out. Still, 4 successes.
Cool.
I'm
Yeah, I think
elated
you bring the house down, right? Like people are crying and then cheering and you absolutely bring it down. Yeah. I mean, you just kill it. And I think the bard says you know, yeah, I think he's just floored, right? And I mean, I think 4 cash dice is a lot of fucking coin, you know.
Yeah,
and
it is.
and he says
Oh yeah, I completely forgot. I was just like, I just want to sing this song really well. I completely forgot you said there was cash dice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think like literally like you're like coins are like being thrown. I think like Fennec like crawls down and like helps you pick them up, and
Nice.
and kind of like purrs, and if that's what something that flying foxes do,
I
kind of
bet they
like,
do.
or like
Yeah.
coos or chortles in like a way that's like lets you know that they're pleased, and the bard is like, let's do this again tomorrow. I was just kind of following along, but I could do a lot better.
Do I know how long we're supposed to be here? Like,
Yeah, you're staying the night and then you're gone tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if you know Bezor, he wants to leave like first light.
Yeah. I say, I say thank you, but um, I can't. I'll be gone. I'll be gone tomorrow. But if you're done, I would love to hear more stories. And she like looks at all this coin. She's like, "Can I buy you a drink?"
Yeah. Cool.
Um,
Yeah, I think he says absolutely. And you know, has a drink with her and tells her about the four archmages.
mm-hmm.
And he says so I learned about this from a few scrolls. I think they're a part of a larger book, but I don't know what the book is called. The first archmage was Enoch, who was the child of the first sorcerer who stole sorcery from the gods and convinced the Lord of Fire to gift his wheel to mortals. And yeah, not much is known. It was ancient times, back when the times of the sorcerer kings, before anything was here.
And I think she's kind of just like muttering to herself. This is another callback to the Polara campaign when the Itharc said the elves were not native to this land and they came here
Right.
long ago. And so she's like, "Is that when the elves arrived?"
It was around. It must have been around the same time. I don't know much about the. I don't know. Probably. Seems like it.
I bet you it was.
The second Archmage, I can't find anything about. It's like no one writes about them. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you more. All those scrolls just skipped to the third, whose name was Astafa. She's from the folk who emigrated here, and those immigrants tended to guard the gold caravans. They were mercenaries and soldiers, but they've become all manner of things. They've been here for generations now. And Astafa was the third Archmage. She was said to have been an elf friend. She stopped a war among the dukes. Some say she's a tyrant and burned castles. And she founded the city, Ostafair, to the west, which is where she retired.
And she sort of interrupts, not interrupts, but she like interjects, I guess. And she's like, "So Enoch convinced the Lord of Fire to bring us the wheel. And Ostafa brought the wheel down from the mountain. And Igna used the wheel to protect the roads. And she's just sort of like sussing it out. She's sort of like mulling it over her head. And she's like, so is the legend that every Archmage just knows intuitively what the wheel is supposed to do or what they're supposed to do with it? Or is it just a bunch of people who have power and decide that they're going to use it for whatever they want?
I don't know. I've never been anything near that magic. I mean, does the wheel talk to them? Does it possess them? I don't know. I doubt it. They're probably just people doing their best. Who the hell knows?
I want to believe that they don't just do it for the bragging rights of saying that they could do it.
Does it matter why they did it? Who cares?
All right, go on. So you were talking about, and I think he already told me about Igna because I heard the song.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah. I think he says, and the fourth was the song you heard, Igna. No one thought he'd be worthy. He was a middling apprentice. Many said he was a mediocre wizard. And
sounds like my kind of guy.
Many of his colleagues attempted to become the Arch-Mage and failed.
So there isn't one chance to do it then. There's got to be a bunch. I mean, someone tried 10 years ago. I heard that was a disaster.
He makes a sign of the wheel at that. Yeah. And says, yeah, that was gruesome.
Yeah.
I've read about him.
I think it's like a couple drinks in, which means Nara is like way past her threshold, right? Like she's getting really sleepy and really like not being able to pay very much attention. And Fennec is like lapping it up because like all the nuts and whatnot, she's just like not paying any attention as he's, you know, gobbling them up. You know, he's getting plenty of treats because she's not being very good about paying attention to how much he's getting. And she's like, I think I need to go. I didn't catch your name.
I'm Felix.
Felix?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing your stories with me, Felix. I'm Nara.
Well, what brings you on the jeweled road, Nara?
Only because she's pretty drunk and because they've been talking about the story sometimes. She's like, I'm the Arch-Mage. And then she leaves.
Yeah, I think like,
or I'm the next Arch-Mage.
Yeah, I think like he was like gearing up to ask you to spend the night with him, like, and I think that just like throws him so hard off that he's just like,
I mean, I feel like anybody could be saying. I feel like there's an opportunity that he could hear that and just that it could be like everybody's saying they're the Arch-Mage, right? Like there's so many people here. Like she could just be totally joking, but she's not. But
I think he thinks you're joking, but it's also like a funny shock. Like I think he's just like, yeah. Anyway, I think when Nara walks away, it's one of those deals. I'm sure you've felt this in your life where you're like, oh, he was about to ask me to spend the night with him. Like,
yeah.
And I made a joke and it threw him off his game. Like it's that type of deal.
Yeah.
Where you realize that for good or for ill, you missed an opportunity. And it's up to you how that, you know, how Nara feels about that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You know, she's been traveling with Bezor for many years, and you know, she's certainly had crushes and been interested in people, and yeah, I think she definitely like kind of like we see as she walks away, like she has that like, oh, I misread that situation, didn't I? But it's too late now. So
yeah, I think Fennec says he likes you.
And she scratches his little fur tuft, or her little fur tuft, and says, "Oh."
How old is Nara?
She's 23.
Yeah, I know. I remember being that clueless at 23. Totally. Like,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, totally cool.
So,
yeah.
I think that was kind of what Nara needed, though. She needed to like get away from Bezor, not because he was doing anything wrong, but just because she couldn't like. Seeing him makes her think of this responsibility that she feels like she has on her shoulders. And I don't know about anyone else, but I have definitely had that feeling where someone says, this isn't your responsibility, you don't need to do it. And it feels like it is anyway. And it feels like you have this duty, you have this obligation to do a thing. And people are being like, no, take care of yourself. You do you, and you're like, that's all well and good, but my understanding of this is that I actually do need to do this thing, and it doesn't matter what other people think. And I don't know. Maybe Nara's wrong. Maybe she's right. But at the moment, she's not. Um, she's. I really had that feeling before, Luke. Yes, I really have had that.
Oh man.
Uh, yeah, the more people push, the more you be stab them for being dummies in the face of what you know to be true. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's fun. I think it's. I think Nara very much feels like she has to do this. So I like uh, that uncertainty. Shall we cut to the road?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think you and Bazor like end up, in a stable with a bunch of strangers. When you
Yeah.
get to by the time you get there, he's asleep, and then like I think you just like close your eyes, and then it feels like it's one of those nights where it feels like 2 seconds later, Bazor is waking you up
Yeah,
and saying
totally.
like it's time to go.
What? No, I just fussed up. Wait, what? I just put my head down, and then she looks and sees that it's light out, and
I want to make a stop before we get to Shadowhold. I think you need it.
okay. Um, I do not understand how my mom got up so early in the morning. And she kind of uh, goes and like dunks her head in a barrel of water
Yeah.
and swishes it around in her mouth and spits it out
Yeah.
and
Cool.
pushes her hair back and
Yeah, and I think like you're at this well, and people are kind of lining up to use it, and so like it's the early risers are up, right? There's not
yeah.
many of you, but there are a few, and the apprentice, Gaji's apprentice, is there,
Mm.
and she says, "You're not going to do something stupid like try to pick up the wheel, are you?"
What did your master tell you about me?
My master told me nothing. He's not concerned with you in the least. He's been
Well,
trained
that's
since he's been trained as a wizard by the finest in all of the weird duchies.
mm,
He's been privy to the most obscure scrolls, the best libraries in all of the world.
sounds like you haven't. I'm remembering this conversation that they had where she was like, "Could what if I wanted to be the Arch-Mage?" And he was just like, "Nah, you ain't got the stuff, kid." Sounds
He
like you
has
haven't
made
had
he has made
those.
copies of the most relevant text. I do fine. Thank you for being concerned with my apprenticeship. I am concerned about your ability to withstand fire.
I mean, most people, it's not a good thing. Uh, I've had my fair share of campfires that have
Exactly. Exactly.
uh, how old is this apprentice? Ish, younger than me, same age,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, I think she's like 14. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, why would it matter to you, young
I'm apprentice
apprentice?
Yisa, by the way.
Aisa, I'm Nara. She says, kind of like frustrated because she still wanted to keep it under wraps, but it's pointless
Yeah.
because
Yisa says like, so you are apprenticed to the immigrant wizard. And I think like that's a really racist thing to say, right? Like you
yeah,
just don't like.
yeah. I think it's weird enough that Nara like takes Nara a second, and she's
Yeah.
like, um, I think she slaps her.
Nice. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. I mean, you just don't like she like thinks for a second, like what, and then yeah, and just like smacks her in the face.
Yeah.
Um, and and uh and says, "My master is Bazar. He's a good man, and doesn't you won't call him that again."
Yeah. I think like, your handprint is just like on her face
Yeah.
and she is just shocked. And
I have intimidation. I'm a literal. I got it from working for a rogue wizard. I mean, I don't know if you think
Yeah.
it's appropriate, but
I totally think it's appropriate. Make a
but-
roll. The ob is 3.
yeah, I'll probably fail it, but it's I don't want her to ever say that again. I
Yeah.
want her to have a little fear of me and of Bezar.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah. Luke says, keep his name out of your damn mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'm going to pile on a little bit more to this. I say, your Master Kaji's a fool, and if anyone's going to immolate themselves, it's him. He thinks he's ready for this, and if you follow him, if you follow him, you better bring a dustpan to clean up the ashes.
Oh shit.
And I'm forking an ugly truth because I think after talking to Bezar that like he probably is kind of an idiot. I think he's kind of a fool and he's going to try something before he's ready too. Yeah. Let's see how that goes.
What is your goal? Like, what is it you want out of this?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that she's a brat and a racist, and I want her to feel bad about that and rethink her values. If that, not like change them, just like consider, just rethink them.
Love it.
And part of those values include like her allegiance to Kaji. Right.
Like, oh, wow.
I think,
interesting. Cool. And I think if you fail, I think she's going to go back and tell Gaji that you slapped her for no reason. And there's going to be like a kerfluffle. Like,
yeah, that's perfect. That makes total sense.
Cool.
Yeah, I really want to find a reason to fork in bloodletting, but I just don't think I can.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Intimidation, ob 3. Is the slap itself worth an advantage die? Is that enough to shake her at all? That is that part of the intimidation itself?
I think it's just part of the intimidation.
Makes sense. Nope.
Okay. Yeah, she like sneers a cuss at you.
Yeah.
And then stomps, like takes the bucket of water that she was sent here to fetch and goes back to her, like towards the lean-to. And like, you know that like drama is coming.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all good. I'm just like, I'm kind of mad at her. I'm kind of mad at me. Yes, as Luke says, you came over here concerned for your safety, and I slapped her for no reason. Yeah. Yeah. Well, slapping was not the mature right thing to do, but it's Nara's 23. Cool. I think I make my way back. I make sure that Fennec is fed breakfast, which is pulling a few dried berries and from a pouch. And I said, well, we should probably get going.
I think he's kind of like, he's like on a rafter, like from the, like hanging from a rafter in the stable, kind of like working out the kinks in his back. And he's like, all right, what's wrong?
Well, you said you wanted to get to someplace before we got to Shadowholt, and the roads are going to be busy soon enough. There's going to be plenty of pilgrims on it. We want to beat the rush, right?
Mm-hmm. No, we're beating the rush. We're the sun isn't even up yet. We're doing fine. We're on Bina time.
Right. Yep. That's just me. I just love getting up first thing in the morning. I hate getting up early in the morning.
Yes.
just something. I like. It's very clear that she. I'm not even like. I'm not making a falsehood role. Like it's very clear that she's preoccupied and not
Yeah.
telling him what it is.
And I think like he's about to ask, and then like Kaji is there with like his knight behind him, Squire, and the apprentice.
Yeah, and Nara
And I
just
think
literally hangs her
Bazor
head down.
Bazor is like doing like the least wizardly thing you can do, right? He's like hanging from a rafter of a stable and like working out the kinks in his back, and like he drops and like picks up his old gnarled staff and says and kind of like brings it close to him and kind of leans on it and says, "Is there a problem?" And Kaji says, "Yes, your apprentice struck my apprentice. I think because of the age difference, there is a problem." He says, "I have never known Nara to be violent for no reason. I will deal with it my own way, in my own time." And he says, "I would like to know what the consequences are going to be." And he says, "Okay. So noted." He says, "I don't think you understand." He goes, "Oh, I do. I understand. You want me to tell you so that you can okay it or not okay it. And I'm telling you that my apprentice is my business. And I will discipline her or not discipline her as I damn well see fit. I have never known Nara to deal out violence for no reason. I am disappointed that she decided to deal it out in the face of your apprentice, but I have to assume that there was a good reason for it." He says,
Nara looks very sheepish.
"Yeah."
Like,
He says, "We'll deal with this at Shadowhold." He says, "Very well." And they all like walk away.
she just like pulls her cloak around her, like she wants to disappear.
"Come on, let's get on the road."
Okay, and she gets very busy. She
And I think he then like doesn't ask you about it until you bring it up.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't think she does, but it's how far is it to Willhold? It's less
Probably
than a
like,
day.
do you think it's less than a day?
Sorry, never mind. I was totally confused for a second. Yeah, no, because it's like weeks to get from here to Willhold.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know if it's weeks. Let's say it's like 10 days.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Excellent. So she can totally tell him that night. It's not like it needs to be but I think she's going to ask on the way before then, where are we going before we go to Shadowhold?
Well, there's a monastery I think you should see.
Oh. I didn't I hope it survived.
It did. The spiders never touched it. They got lucky.
That's good. And while we're going,
I think I think when you talk about the spiders, like I think he like makes a sign of the wheel, and he's not particularly a believer, but like I think everybody remembers that, right? And
it was just a like it's not that long ago.
Yeah,
and it was an atrocity.
He was probably like a young wizard or an apprentice at that point. Like he was around, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, he probably knows people who were eaten.
I feel like the spiders are like 9/11 for us.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh, totally. I think it's like 9/11 plus World War II, like, or even World War I, where like we didn't know how to, like villages are gone, right? Like, that there was that thing in World War I where like they'd put a bunch of people from the same town in one unit, and then the unit would get wiped out. And so the whole town's youth would get wiped out.
Right.
I think it's that type of thing where like it's a war, but like it's a different type of
decimated.
Yeah. And when you tell him about it, he says, "She deserved a slap. I'm not going to punish you. And I think you're too old for that anyway. You're at a part of your apprenticeship where you're right on the cusp, really, of being a journeyman wizard and going out on your own. And this is, I don't want to be dramatic, but this is a dangerous time where you are going to be making choices that are going to decide what kind of wizard you're going to become. And standing up for people is important, but you have to find alternatives. You can't just slap every apprentice who says something stupid or every colleague who says something stupid. And you can't cast a spell to cover your own ignorance every time it comes up. You have to both own your own faults and weaknesses and deal with others' shortcomings better. That said, some people just need a fucking slap. I get it, but there will be consequences for this. So be prepared for that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard for Nara to object to any of that. Like, she was kind of ready to be like, he deserved it, or she deserved it. And like when she hears that, she's just like, I think she's doing some practice. Like she's kind of like, as he's talking, she's sort of like moving her hands. She's not casting a spell. She's like doing the somatic components that you would do just to like practice them.
Yeah.
But she's not doing any of the other elements, so that like
no,
it's not going to happen.
Yep.
And then it kind of just gives up and like puts another log on the fire, and because I think they're just camping, and says, thanks for having my back, and not succumbing isn't quite the right word, but and not doing what that asshole Kaji asked. Even if you had decided to punish me, I appreciate that you didn't do it on his terms.
Yes. You're welcome. I don't know. You came to me very old, as an apprentice goes. And you've been through a lot. And I've been lucky to have you, but we're getting towards a time where we have to figure out what you're going to do next.
With your permission, I would like to I'd like to try something. I'd like to know spirits. In the event that I ever have to summon them, I'd like to know what they look like. And I'm going to go find one of the jewels of the road. I've heard that there's still a few around. They're mostly covered in dirt. That it used to once upon a time, maybe when Igna blessed them, that's when they were there. But I'd like to find one of the warding stones and see if I can recognize the spirit within it. I won't talk to it or summon it or try to draw any power from it.
Why don't we summon it together? You can help me do it, and that way you will learn a bit about it.
Sounds great.
Cool. Yeah, what can help with a summoning?
Yeah. So I was hoping to do, or I think this might be like a link test kind of thing. It might also, I might also be able to help, but I'd like to start with an aura reading roll to try and find one of the stones, because I think that they're covered in, they're few and far between. They're mostly lost.
Yeah. And
I think I could detect one if I'm watching for it, and then we could go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's Ob 2.
Cool. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it that night. I'm gonna go out and look, and I'm gonna do it that night because. Oh wait, let me double check and read this. I want to make sure. I think this is true. Yes, I want to do that night because I'm going to be watching the stars and I'm going to be seeing the way they glitter. Astrology is the only skill that is like this. Astrology can be forked with any skill except those of martial or physical type.
Right.
So it can be forked with a sorcerer skill like aura reading. However, the astrology fork die is different from other forks. The die is open-ended both ways. If I roll a 1, it subtracts successes.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to fork astrology, and I will count astrology as the very first die. We'll just so it's easy to track it. And yeah, I think that's
Roll that shit.
Where are you? Aura reading. There you are. 1. No.
Okay.
I got nothing. The astrology die didn't backfire on me, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just don't find one, and so it doesn't help. So it actually makes his summoning more difficult.
Yeah.
And he asks you to use astrology, and he shows you like how to use astrology to like look at the stars and look at the moon and the time of year and the seasons, and use that to aid in the summoning.
Nice.
And like, so you like make this complicated, arcane mathematical chart and cross-reference it with something else. And yeah, you help him with this summoning.
Cool.
He
I only have a B2 astrology, so it's going to give him 1 helping die.
Yep. And I think like he takes his staff and like it doesn't have like a metal shot at the end of it, but he like puts a metal thing at the end of it that like just isn't affixed so that he can like write on the ground. And he says like, when you know more about circumnation, this will be something you will do to aid summonings. And he makes like a circle to summon the spirit into, and then like a fortress square with a triangle inside of it that you and he and Fennec will be within. And then yeah, I think he does the summoning. I think it takes like the better part of a day.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
It takes a lot of work. And you do it way off you did a bit off the roads that you're not disturbed by travelers.
Right.
He finds a little grove near some water, and I think the spirit, like he summons, and then he just kind of sits and says, "Now we wait." Quietly. And he says, every stretch of these roads has a name. I have invoked that name. This is the jeweled road, right? So I think they're probably named after jewels.
Yeah.
What is a cool jewel?
Must be the garnet.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of when I think of garnet, I can't help but think of Steven Universe at this point. So
okay. Luke suggests tourmaline.
Tourmaline, great. Yeah, I think like he says, this one is tourmaline. In the ancient tongue, in the ancient tongues, he says like the name for tourmaline, and shows you the runes he used to write it. And like as he's talking about it, you kind of see like someone walking from like a distance, but like something seems wrong about them, and then you realize that it's a spirit walking from the spirit world into the circle that they've been summoned into.
Wow.
And you see them walk in and say, and kind of like look around at the circle, and read it as if like, are there any were there any mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
It
when they're
feels
done,
like it's.
yeah, go on.
Sorry, there's something about the way you said that, Judd, where I just feel like it's like an English teacher reading their students' paper to
Totally.
like see
Right
if like
right in front of you, though, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah. It's totally the terror of someone reading something you've written right in front of you, but they are otherworldly, and they're the consequences are dire if you are wrong. And he
Just like sending your manuscript to an editor. Yep.
yeah. What kind of services can a minor corporeal spirit do? Yeah, I think this is a pretty minor one. Physical, economic, or social. So yeah, I think he gets quiet, and you can tell he's quite nervous.
Mm.
And the spirit says, "Your circle is in order, wizard. You are used to summoning the dead." And Bezos says, "I am used to summoning the dead, yes."
And Nara knows that Bezar refuses to teach her necromancy, and it's a. I don't think it's a sore subject. It's something she knows that he has withheld, and she doesn't know if that's something that he will ever teach her, or if it's because he was mistreated by his mentor, and his mentor taught him necromancy, and so she's not sure if it's something that eventually, once she's proven herself, he'll teach her, or if he never will because he considers it a just an evil art, you know. But yeah,
have I been summoned just as a learning for your apprentice? No, great Tourmaline, I would not do that to a spirit as great as you. I wanted to thank you for allowing us to travel on your road so safely. And I would ask of you a service. There will be another traveler on the road. His name is Kaji, and he would add the title Arch-Mage in front of it. I would ask you to soothe his anger so that by the time he reaches Shadowholt, he understands that seeking retribution for what my apprentice did is not worthwhile. And Spirit says, I can do this. Soothing the anger of travelers on my road is not not outside of my purview. That is all? You do not want me to do anything else? He says, that is all.
it's totally clear like Nara wants to like add something, but she's like
yeah
she's sort of standing back like I don't know, she looks at Bezor to see if he would permit her to ask the spirit something. Would she just do it? Would she just ask? I feel like she sort of looks at him to see like, is it cool if I ask a question?
Yeah, I think he's not even looking at you.
Okay, nice. We'll just do it. This is Burning Wheel. Fight for your beliefs, and my belief is I want to know about the Arch-Mage.
Yeah.
So she she'll say, here we go. She says, can I ask about Igna, who found you here? And it's unclear whether she's asking the spirit or Bezor, but she says it out loud. When is maturity and patience narratively boring?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I feel like in this case, I don't know that she's being horrible. She's trying to be respectful, but also maybe she's speaking when she shouldn't. So we'll find out. Yeah, I would know of Igna if I may.
Nice. And I think like Bizor like looks at you in shock, right? Like no, 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 no. But Tourmaline says, are we entering into an agreement, apprentice?
And she sort of looks at Bezor like, you know, he obviously didn't. He's giving her the shut the hell up signals.
Yeah.
And um, she says, what would you ask of me?
The price.
And she looks to Bezor of like, is that a thing?
Yeah, you feel like Bezor is almost like as if time is acting oddly and like Bezor isn't reacting in time. Like, yeah, like something is weird. Yeah.
Like he's being left out of.
Yeah. Yes.
Of this conversation. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. So she's looking at him and then sees that like he can't, like he's not there. He's being kind of left behind. You know, Tourmaline seems like it's been a cool spirit so far, but what the hell does she know?
Yeah.
So she says, I think that this is like, I think like she is definitely taking to heart like Bezor's teaching, and that like don't make these deals like you know, thoughtlessly. And she's like, name what that price would be.
Possession. I would walk in your mortal skin for a time.
Oh, just that. Just possession.
Just that.
So here is a fun time in this game where players get to decide whether they want something enough. And the funny thing is, for me, Nara's concern is less about, oh no, a spirit's going to possess me, and more about, I'm going to piss Bezor off. He's been really good to me. He's been covering my mistakes, and I'm going to do a thing, and it's going to piss him off. And she's more concerned about that than she is about like, oh no, what happens if a spirit possesses me?
If you would allow me to walk in your skin for a night, I would bring you a book written by Igna himself.
Luke is throwing ideas in there. Yeah, I think. So the question is, should Nara have taken to heart all of what Beezer said so far, which is a really like I want her to not be a complete brat of a kid, but I also feel like this is how she's going to become not a complete brat of a kid, is by fucking up. So oh, no need to say Sean from this. Yeah. She says, will anyone know when you take my
Who do you
form?
wish to know?
I don't wish to displease my master.
I will leave while he's sleeping and come back before he wakes.
And you won't harm anyone.
I will not harm you.
But you'll be using my body, so I kind of care if you use it to harm anyone.
I understand.
Yeah.
We do not have to make a deal.
I think she chickens out. I feel like so many characters would just like, yeah, do it. And I think when she finds out like she doesn't know what'll happen, she's kicking herself. She's really struggling with it.
Yeah.
But that's the moment where she's just like, looking at my beliefs. Take the wheel. Well, five programs never worked out. I better get to it. You know what? Never mind. I'm looking at her beliefs. Sorry, Jed. This is just Sean being indecisive. She's like, okay, just don't let Beezer know.
Of course. And I think like time starts to like run normally again. And she says to both you and Beezer at the same time about both of your deals, it is done. The deals have been made. The prices are set. Walk the road of me and my family safely. And the prices will come soon. And like, he says, prices? Why is that? And he turns to you and says, what did you do? And like, the spirit's gone, right? And it's just you and Bezor.
Nice. Oh, so good. I love it.
What deal did you make with the spirit?
She just flushes. You know, she was like, I'm being so cool. Beezer won't know. And she looks at him and she says, I asked a question. I asked if she could tell me of Igna, who
you were supposed to help, and
I did. I told you the stars positions, and I waited with you.
And then you made your own deal with a powerful spirit.
I didn't think asking a question would be making a deal. Well, I didn't think at first.
What deal did you make?
She's going to bring me one of Igna's books.
What was the price, child?
Sean is smiling.
Yeah.
Nara is not.
Yeah.
She gets to walk in my body for a night, and she won't harm me. And she'll have me back by the morning.
Oh, we'll see how that works.
Nara, when do you sleep?
And I think the next night, you know that a spirit is going to inhabit your body, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like, what do you do before you go to bed?
I think I am very afraid of what it might do. And I think Nara feels like she can outwit this spirit, which she probably can't. And
Yeah.
so she is going to um, try and bind herself. She's going to take some ropes and her cloak and kind of try and make it so that she's, you know, I think the only way she could do this was with Beezer's help. Like, I don't know how you tie yourself up. It's just not a thing you can do.
Yeah.
So I think she tries futilely to tie herself up. Like, she ties her legs, like her ankles. That's easy
Yeah.
to do. And she's trying to figure out a way to like tie her wrists. And she's like using her teeth.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to ask Beezor to help. But
Beezor says, "What are you doing?"
Well, I thought if I was all tied up, then even if the spirit's in my body, it wouldn't be able to do anything.
You're going to anger it.
So you think I should just let it have free reign?
I think you've made a deal and now you have to pay the price.
Okay. Okay. And like immediately her like thoughts race to like, I could find another spirit that could da 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 da, right? Like she immediately tries to think of like a way out and just says, she kind of like runs through, she kind of says it, like mumbles it to herself, and then says, and then says, I'm sorry I did a stupid thing. You're right.
He makes you some tea so you can go to sleep easier. Nothing like a drug, just literally like a soothing
like
mint
chamomile.
tea. Yeah. And I think you fall asleep, right?
Yeah.
And I think the dream you have is the spirit, right? You feel it coming. You feel this tourmaline walker walk into your body, like it's just walking into another part of the road, and you see it kind of look at your flesh and is just kind of marvels at it, and it takes off your cloak and hangs it on a nearby tree, but like also like touches it, like, oh, this is a really nice cloak, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then it casts a spell, like it's woven into its spirit, right? And it just casts a spell quickly, and it turns you into a lioness, and you hunt and kill a group of about a dozen bandits who are going to who are going to rob people on the road that night. And I think you kind of, how much she remembers is totally up to you.
Nice.
I think it's a steel test if you want to remember.
Yeah. That's great.
And when you wake up, you are back at, your Bizor is still asleep, and the moon hasn't set yet, and the sun hasn't risen, and there's like a pile of bandit heads next to the camp.
Oh, so good.
And Luke has a good question that we'll get to. And on top of the heads, but still managing not to be touching any gore, is an ancient, like an old tome, like a 200-year-old tome, written by Igna. And yeah, I think Luke is dead on right. I think if you want to take uh, Cloak of the Lioness, as a spell, that you have one check off for learning. I think that's totally cool, because I think like you remember the spirit casting it.
Yeah. Nice. Added that in there. What I'm hearing now is Sean has a way to double dip on information and learning spells. Yes, Luke. I want to make that skill test for sure. I would love to know how much of this I remember. So let's do that.
Cool. I love using a steel test to decide that. That's really an interesting choice.
I think that's really fun. Our steel is decent. We didn't go through the questions, but our steel is B5. Her will is 4, so this is an ob6 steel, unless there's a different.
Nope, it's fine.
Yeah, it's just her hesitation. Nope, not even close.
But I mean, I think it's pretty clear, right? Like you remember.
Yeah. I think it's just like flashes, and it's hard to, pin down specifics. If that's okay.
That's great. That's great. And yeah, I think Bizarre wakes up and like sees the heads, and he turns to you and says, "Are you all right?"
And I think Nara is sort of embarrassed by this, but her cheeks are flushed and her she's wide awake, even though she had like no sleep at all. And she's clearly like energized and clearly I don't think she has like an adrenaline rush, but she's like kind of amped up.
Yeah.
And she's like, I feel amazing.
Good. You should feel amazing. And he goes into his pack and he brings out a shovel. He says, "Start digging." I'll break camp this morning. You're burying these heads.
I think they were bad people.
You're going to make me say really cliche wizardy shit about who gets to judge. Bury these fucking heads. I'm not doing this to make you feel bad. I'm doing this because heads can't just sit here. You have to clean up your own heads. Write that down. When you write the wisdom of Bizarre, you have to bury your own fucking heads that you've taken off of bandits' bodies to be in there somewhere. Start digging.
I'm going
to take a shit.
She digs. She goes off the road. She is very intentionally doing this off the side of the road.
Yeah.
So
I think like Fennec like gets like crawls up on a rock to like jump off and like fly around a little bit. And I think you hear Bizarre say to Fennec, "Do not help her." And like you see Fennec kind of like not like shrug, like sorry, and like fly off to do a little hunting.
Yeah. There is no lesson, just unsanitary to leave them lying around.
It is kind of a lesson. I feel like, I don't know. Yeah.
I think it's a lesson of responsibility. It may not be a lesson in morality, but it's yeah, she gets digging.
Which is terrible fucking work, right?
It's terrible work. Yeah. Do you want me to make a ditch digging roll? Pretty sure that is a skill.
It is. I have no interest in it. There's nothing to test. Um,
Yeah.
it sucks. You are sore for a long time because you're probably not used to doing this.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I have very seldom wanted to give up physically in my life, and like
Yeah.
digging a ditch was like one of the things. Like,
Right. I think digging a ditch feels like my experience with ditch digging, which is I've never had to dig anything like too deep, and I definitely Nara has to dig pretty deep for this, is that it feels really easy and really productive for about the first 5 minutes. And you're like,
right?
oh, I'm just like plowing through this. And then the dirt gets really hard, really fast. And
Yeah,
you're like, I'm been at this for an hour and I've not dug any deeper than I was.
yeah,
And the 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 fictional jump point where they go from putting the shovel in to like literally like standing like 6 feet deep in the ground, and like
yeah,
that is not at all a trivial difference. And so what you end up doing is a lot of bending over because the ditch is getting deeper and deeper, but you're still on the edge of it. Yeah,
yeah,
it's miserable.
yeah.
um I think she has a terrible um a terrible time at it, and it's not like she's unaccustomed to physical work, but this is unlike the rest. So
Yeah.
yeah, uh, yeah, she's sore and calloused and blistered and sweaty and dirty, and clothes are all frumpled,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Cool.
she
Yeah,
spends
I
a
think
while
like
doing it.
yeah, you're digging until the sun is pretty high up,
Yeah,
and then you have to dig more to cover them. And he says, say some words of the burning wheel if you want, or the Lord of Fire if you want to, before we go.
she gathers. How many heads are there?
14.
14. Jesus. Yeah. Um, she gathers 14 stones, from various places of various sizes and whatnot, and she they can't really act as headstones because they're not specifically, but they're just 14 stones in a pile
Yeah.
that she puts on top of this, and and she she takes like a little ember or a little twig, she takes like a couple twigs, and puts them in the embers of their campfire, and puts and like sticks it in there, so it's sort of like it's burning, um, and yeah, and she says a remembrance for them,
Yeah.
but it's not personal. It's just here lie the fallen. Um, may you know um, there isn't a sense of an afterlife, but there's a sense of like, was your life worthwhile?
Yeah.
I hope that they uh, I hope that their all but their truest beliefs were burned away in the end.
Cool.
And yeah, yeah. And
I think, and like when you're done, he says, "What?" He says, "Well said." And then he says, "Have you ever killed before?"
I don't think she has. I mean, let me think
Huh?
about that. I definitely didn't answer the "Have you killed before?" Steel question,
Cool.
so I'm gonna say no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
He just shrugs, like, well, he kind of shrugs, like, yeah, you have now. And he says, "We'll reach the monastery by the evening tonight. It's a couple of days off the road."
and yeah, and she's are we walking? Are we on cart? Are we on horse?
I
How
think
are we
I think you're
coming?
walking.
Okay. She's just like slumped over. She's like
Yeah.
Arch-Mage indeed, and just like rubbing her back, and just like trying to keep. I think there's a couple times she's like, keep up, like
Yeah.
where she kind of slows down. Um, Luke asks, how does that work?
Yeah, I'm actually replying. Yeah, I mean, how does that work? Does steel go up if you hit the questions in play, or is it just left to the usual advancement? I think we can like decide that there are certain things that got tested in your steel because you experienced something. But we can talk about
there
that.
is a there are there. So I made a steel test because of the because of the because of the spell, because of hesitation. But there's also fixed steel tests that happen when you just experience certain things. So we probably should look at the killing a person, and it'll have a certain ob test. So it won't go up a full point like it would if it happened in character creation,
Right.
but it will trigger a test. So yeah, we could do that. I'm not, I'm happy to do that whenever. But yeah, no, good call. I also think what was the ob of that summoning? That
5.
5. So I'm going to take a challenging astrology test, because
Cool.
when you help somebody, you get to with a skill, you get to test as though you were trying the.
Cool.
Oh boy. Nice. How much steam do you have? Do you want to?
I do. I want to get this one last thing in. I feel like it's important. I feel like it's going to wrap things up nicely.
I'm good. I mean, you're the
one.
It's after midnight.
I took a nap. I woke up from a really like Johnny and I both fell into wild naps. So we're doing all right. I'm not keeping anybody up.
Naps are some of my favorite things.
Oh, so good, so good. So yes. I want to get one more thing done, and then I think we can call it a night.
Cool.
I think you get to the monastery of the Healing Circle, and the most of the brothers there have taken vows of silence, just because they find that there's a cleansing and a healing that can happen in the quiet. But the abbot can talk to you like in their office, and their name is Brother Martin. In the HBO show, it's totally played by George R.R. Martin, because he's a huge fan, has been watching like the whole time and loves our YouTube videos, and is a gamer from way back, and blah blah blah.
He doesn't have to worry about messing up his own IP on this.
That does not have to worry about it.
He could just do whatever.
Like, this is such a relief. I get to come play a little role. So glad.
A little cameo. Awesome.
Huge Burning Wheel fan.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Martin.
Yeah.
Was playing Burning Wheel back in
Yes.
Back with Luke and Tor when they were first met.
No doubt. Yeah. So he's definitely anyway. Well, another story. So yeah, he says, welcome. Is there some way I can help you? And Bezor says, my apprentice is prophesied to attempt to become an Arch-Mage. And you can see right away, Martin, like as soon as he says that, Martin is like, oh, I know why you're here, right? And he says, we would like to we'd like to meet. I'd like her to meet him, if possible. And I will see if he's up for visitors. Good. And I think you like get like a little bit of like a very like basic broth for before you go to sleep that night, because you kind of got in late, and like the abbot says, I'm glad you got here safely, because there have been rumors of bandits on the road and people being robbed. and killed or worse, and just left naked with nothing. A few people have come who have been really hurt, and Bezos says, "I think we're pretty safe, but thank you for your concern." And that morning, the abbot comes to you and says, comes to you both, and again, like takes you away from all the other brothers, and says, Anter has agreed to see her if you would like her to meet him. And she says, yes, I would like that. And I think he looks at you and says, this is a young man about your age, or a little older than you. I'd like you to meet. I don't know what to tell you. Don't make any binding deals with him, I guess.
Yeah, she's pretty, like, I know I screwed up, but also like, did I screw up? Because it seems like we killed some bad people, and
right,
there's like this, like, she's definitely not resentful of him, but she's a little questioning. And
I think he sees that and he says, I should have told you not to say a word. It was my fault. Please go meet Enter.
I don't think that was my moment of bad judgment. I don't think that was my only moment of bad judgment. And she's kind of been like, he doesn't usually say you need to do this because you're my apprentice, right? Like, he doesn't have a lot of like, I'm a grumpy old wizard and you're gonna have to do the thing I say because I said so. I mean, the heads thing he did, but that was a consequence of her actions. But usually he doesn't pull a lot of like wax on, wax off kind of cryptic stuff. So I think normally she would probably challenge him, being like, who is this guy? What's this all about? Et cetera, et cetera. But right now she's kind of browbeat by her last, decision. So she just sort of like, she says, no binding deals. And she just sort of goes to wherever the brother Martin leads her.
Cool. Yeah, he leads you to like a cell with a nice breeze over it that's overlooking a garden. It's really pretty, and it's got a lot of light during all parts of the day, but doesn't get very hot. And there's a man in there who is, I think, wrapped up in bandages. You can kind of smell like an ointment on him, and he's wearing a mask, like a wooden mask that you probably might associate with someone who has like gotten some kind of terrible wound and wants to cover it, because because society is a fucking mess and we're shitty to people with scars.
Yeah.
And he's sitting in a chair, and he's got a quill in his hand, and he's writing, or he's drawing marginalia for a scroll he's working on. And you can kind of see it. Like, you can see that there is like a burning wheel, and like the fires of the wheel like go along the page. And you can make out that the first word of the first paragraph is Enoch, which is like the first Arch-Mage.
Arch-Mage, yeah.
And I think he turns to you and says, "Have a seat. I've been given leave to speak. I haven't spoken in a long time."
She sits and says, why did they keep you here?
Oh, I'm not kept here. I stay here of my own will. I get infections very easily. The brothers do their best to keep my infections under control.
So, interestingly, I don't know if this is applicable at all, but Nara has both bloodletting, which is a skill for purifying disease and also stopping bleeding, and she has alchemy, which allows you to make various like tinctures and whatnot.
Yeah.
She's not particularly good at either of them.
Yeah.
But is this anything that I mean, I don't think it looks familiar to her at all, but is this anything that feels like it's within her purview to help in any way?
Um. Yeah. I think you could try. Absolutely. I mean, we can look at the obs for alchemy. I'm sure it's pretty.
Yeah. Bloodletting just says see the anatomy of injuries. It's just treated as like a field medicine. You
Yeah.
know, it's which is not bad, but alchemy, um, distilling an essential compound of earth, of water, of liquid, of metal, of blood.
It's pretty vague.
Yeah.
I mean, you could give it a shot, but let's just have this conversation first, and then
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
go from there.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail. I
No,
think
no,
that
it's really
she's just a
cool.
little distracted by his condition, and I think that like she kind of fixates on it for a second and then snaps out of it when he starts speaking again. I don't know, Nara, what can you do for full body 3rd-degree burns? Yeah, I don't know. She says
You're a wizard.
I in training
Nice.
to be definitely
You
met
must
a
be just
few.
about ready to become a journeyman.
That's what I was told yesterday. I think after, I think my master might be rethinking that now. I made kind of a gaffe, a wizarding mistake.
That's all apprentices do. Don't let Bizor be terse. He made his share of mistakes, that's for sure.
Did you know? You don't seem that old, but I can't really tell. Did you know him when he was younger?
I did. He was just ending his apprenticeship when I started mine. I think he wanted me to talk to you because I attempted to take the wheel down the mountain.
And like it just hits Nara like a landslide, which is great because Sean didn't pick up on this either.
Oh, wow.
It's
Cool.
fantastic. Um, she's just like, oh, and like a bunch of kind of expressions go over like over her face. Like one of them is like awe and like surprise, but another one was like anger, like you know, like I get it, old man, you're trying to teach me a lesson, like you can't. Anyway, so yeah, she kind of like scrunches her eyebrows and is like, oh, yes, I've heard about you. I mean, everybody has.
I'm sure. I'm quite the cautionary tale. You know, for a long time when I got back in here, I wanted to heal so I could go back out and try again.
And you decided not to, or your wounds just wouldn't.
Wow, you're really very protective over it. You've been told it's your destiny?
Yep. Yeah, the elves said it was, and my mom said it was, and Wizard Rasmus said it was, and according to an elf, the stars say it was. She sort of looks up to the ceiling. There's maybe looks out the window. It's like, and I've actually learned a little bit about reading them. That's helped.
Oh, that's quite a lot. Good luck. I had been told by the church. the position of the Arch-Mage has long been outside of the church's control, and I think they wanted an Arch-Mage they had a handle on. Is what someone would say if they were being terribly jaded about what happened with me.
Or maybe they just truly believed, and they maybe they saw signs just like everyone else has.
And then I have to wrestle with the fact is, did I not keep the fires from me because I lacked faith? Because I lacked a power? Because my incantations were poor? The Lord of Fire found me unworthy? I don't know. I think about it a lot, of course. I have a lot of time to think.
Have you and like there's a part of her that just like can't resist. She's just like, well, what was it like? What was it like when you took hold of it?
The power is amazing. It's indescribable. The spells I would have been able to cast, the weavings I would have been able to make, the differences I would have been able to do upon the earth would have been staggering. But the power was only for a second. And then there was pain. And really pain every day since.
She doesn't flint. Yeah, she
Nara, I hate that I am a cautionary tale. I hate that in order to really survive, I should probably stay here. I'm lucky to have this place, but this is not what I wanted for my life. And what I also don't want for my story is to stop someone who is worthy. But I understand where Bezor was coming from. I think it is good that you know the risks. I hope you reach your destiny, whatever that is. And I hope when you have time, you can send me a letter from time to time. I would like to trade missives with someone who sees the outside world. I don't get to see it very often.
How long ago was he's supposed to, out of character, how long ago was he supposed to have?
10 years, I think.
10 years ago? Yeah, that's what he said,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, and she says, if you could have held on to it, what would you have done? What would have been your great act?
I think I would have consecrated the cathedral in Dukinshield to hold the burning wheel so that I could be placed there. I think I would have looked at the world with fresh eyes and made some changes.
Sorry it hurts all the time.
It is what it is.
Did you have a lot of people telling you that you were destined? I mean, I guess the church did.
I did. The church, the wizard who taught me, Gerbert of Misi.
Yeah, and she you know, she's like, obviously, you know, he said, I don't want this to be I don't want this to prevent anybody from, you know, from pursuing their destiny. But at the same time, it's like he can't help but be a cautionary tale. And
Yeah.
And she's like, if knowing what you know now, if you had to do it all over, would you still have tried?
Huh. If I could go back to myself as I am now and try to talk myself out of it, I do not think that's a duel of wits I could win. I was driven, very driven. I'm not saying that I gained some sort of superpower through my pain, because I did not. But maybe this is what I was destined to do. I write books. I exchange letters with wonderful people like you. There are worse lives out there, far worse than mine.
I'm glad that you have. I'm glad that you have the monks to take care of you. And yeah, and like her ideas of like, it's so perfect that like I, as Sean, didn't get what was going on, because her like ideas of like, I could make a tincture that would, you know, it's
Right.
like, oh no, I can't heal you from the burns of the burning wheel. Like that's not a
Right.
that's you know.
Right.
uh
And
so
I'm working hard not to make this like ableist nonsense. So if I fail, let me know, and
yeah,
we'll change things, or we'll do something. I just
no, I
wanted someone who had
appreciate
been hurt
you.
by this.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you being thoughtful about that. And um yeah, and I think that's really good to consider. And I don't think
Yeah.
you've made this character less of a person or less of a
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are really horrific burns and very painful. um I'm gonna freaking, I think this is too much for Nara. I think this is.
Okay.
I think she's hitting like. Wow, I don't know how to deal with this, and I want to turn into a bird and fly away, um, as a way to wrap up the scene. Not like
Yeah.
fly away, but just like you know, just like she kind of needs yeah, I think Essence of Water would be a good painkiller. But I think she sort of needs a way to leave, um, and like get away from
From
the
Bizor too.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Bizarre too. It just,
Okay.
you know, for a bit.
Yeah.
So I assume that there's a, you know, like a window.
Yeah.
Yeah, mundane harmless creatures like a bird or a fish are ob 3.
Cool.
Um, it's interesting. You can transform somebody else. I wonder if I transformed him into another creature, if he would still be burnt. But that's not what's going on in Nara's mind right now.
Right.
So let's see if I can perform this bit of sorcery.
Yeah. Love it. Ob 3. Yeah. How long do you want? And then we have to like get it to how long it'll last, right? Is it
Oh,
just a
right,
scene?
right.
Is
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I just want it to last for one test. and I'm only affecting myself.
Okay.
Good points. Yeah. So breadth and duration are, I don't think there's any modifiers there.
Great.
I am going to name it.
What kind of bird are you turning into?
Yeah, what kind of bird do I want to change it to? I think I want to change into a songbird. I want to change into a bird that is. I want to change into a sparrow.
Love it.
And
Also, the name of one of my favorite science fiction novels.
What's that?
The Sparrow.
Oh, the sparrow. Nice.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Cool. What are you naming this incantation on the feathers of a sparrow?
Cool.
It's kind of obvious, but I think it's
all
right. And I am going to, I'm gonna stand at that window, looking out of it for a very, very long time, thinking very hard about this, being very, very quiet, and making no attempt to not to hide that I'm very carefully going through this process, and I'm going to cast carefully. Because I don't think he's going to say anything. I don't think he's going to interrupt me. I don't think I need to flee this very moment, but I just feel like I need to get to a space where people are not. And I thank him, and I tell him I will write him letters, and I'm going to do it. So I'm going to take +1d for naming it. I'm going to take +1d for doing it carefully.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I got. I don't feel like I would be able to fork aura reading in more, but I don't. Let me look up second sight really quick. Sorry.
What is it you want to know?
I want to know if I can fork in aura reading. In this case, it's. I don't know if it makes any sense because it would be.
I don't think so.
Own?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I would say no.
Yeah. Maybe if I was looking at a sparrow when I was doing it, that would make more sense. But yeah.
Or even if you were like trying to change someone else, like if you knew maybe something about their aura, it might make it easier to change them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's 1, 2. Whoa. I am surprised.
Wow, you succeeded.
I succeeded.
Oh, man. Cool. I sound so disappointed. Spell failures in Arch-Mage are just mwah, mwah. I can't wait. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think you.
Sorry to
no. I love it. Yeah. Where do you fly to?
How big is this monastery? How tall is it?
I think it's got like nice, 1.5, 2-story walls. And
oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I was thinking like I'm gonna just fly way up into the air and to the point where I can see the wheel.
Oh wow, yeah.
And just off in the distance and just sort of circle. I think we kind of hear my bird song and and I just go up till I can see the wheel. I think that's
cool. That's where we'll end it.
Yeah, if that's cool with you.
That's perfect. I love it. I hope I didn't fuck up Nara with that. I just
it was great. It was totally. She just got hit by a lot of stuff this session, which is really good because it's going to help me to. I kind of made the not arbitrary decision, but I made the decision that no, she didn't quite learn her lesson the very first time. She is just gonna she's gonna make more mistakes.
Yeah. She's telling you who she is. Yeah.
That's
cool.
And but she's made a deal with the spirit. She's slapped an apprentice, and now she's come face to face with her own mortality.
Yeah.
So it was a good episode for helping me figure out beliefs for next time.
Love it.
I will throw out, just so that folks know, page, and so we do it as well. Page 364 has steel tests, conditional steel tests. It is Ob 3 to witness bloodshed and gore. Ob 4 to fight in a duel to the death. Ob 5 to fight in a mass battle.
Murder in cold blood.
Murder in cold blood. Yeah. So it seems like it'd be an Ob 5.
Yeah. Yep. I'm down with that.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a being possessed, but I wouldn't want to take it because I feel like that would be double dipping. On that anyway. So
cool.
Yeah, should we do beliefs?
Yeah, let's hand out some Martha.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I know I'm supposed to carry the wheel down from the mountain, but nobody will tell me why. I'm going to find out what happened to the last Arch-Mage that did it. I think
that might be a persona.
Yeah, I feel like I've done that as much as I want.
Yeah.
Like I feel pretty satisfied in that.
Cool. I'm sure there's more to learn, but yeah. If you're satisfied.
Exactly. Like I feel like okay. To take the wheel, I must find a master. I must master the school of fire. Great war mentors. Well, fighting this prophecy has never worked out. I better get to it. I'll find a practitioner to teach me. I didn't specifically ask anybody to teach me new magic, but I think that between trading my body to learn more from the spirit and accepting Rasmus's invitation, I think I'm working towards that. I feel like that's
and I think you rolled some dice on that, and you I think that's definitely a fate.
Yeah. Let's see. Instincts. Instincts give you
when they make life difficult.
Cool. Yeah. When entering a room, always look for a way out. I kind of described that. Didn't really
come up hardcore.
If I hear the word magic, shut up and see what others think first. I think that totally.
Oh, totally.
Totally. Like I was like magic.
Yeah.
Who does magic? I'm gonna go sneak up on them and listen in. And then...
and we know it made your life difficult, right? Because you had to roll dice to deal with it, right?
Yes.
So, I think total.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take fate. You roll dice on it. I think definitely. Yeah. Not that that's the only way life is difficult, but it's a good guess.
I think it was a test, and also then what I did with that knowledge was dumb. So or what and then.
Traits?
My trait, so they've changed it. I didn't remember when this changed, but you can only earn fate on character traits, which I didn't know before.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe that's always been true, or maybe that was something they added later. But my only character trait is spooky. Nara carries the weight of her prophecy with her, which I kind of forgot to play up, honestly.
Yeah.
I played a lot of my other traits up.
Yep. Cool.
But yeah, so I'm gonna say no to that.
Okay.
I think.
Do you want maybe a fate for having stealth? I feel like you kind of was the right thing to have at the right time.
Right skill, right time. Yeah, that feels right to me.
Cool. I think we're gonna have to really watch out for right skill, right time, because with Arch-Magic, you can have it all the time, right? Like it's so versatile that I think we're really gonna want to keep right skill, right time to skills.
Yes.
Because Arch-Magic will make you have the right skill at right time all the time.
Well, it gives you helping dice, which aren't. If you're untrained in something, you're still rolling an untrained, and I think.
No, I know.
I think it's. I think we should not consider that having the right skill.
Yeah.
Like I have to have the skill to do it.
Yep. It'll get you Arthur in other ways. Cool.
Yeah. So
one there. So I feel like I would give embodiment to Bizor, and I would give Mold Breaker to Nara. I mean, I feel like in a weird way, you kind of like figured out who she was and then moved beyond it, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
If you're up for that.
Yeah, no, I think that makes total sense.
Cool.
I'm really happy with that.
Cool. Take a persona.
All right, so I'm gonna take.
And I will put a persona next to Bizor.
2 persona and 2 fate. Is that right? Move the instinct for the. No, it's 3 fate. There we go. Because one's complete. 3 fate, 2 persona. Lovely.
Cool.
Oh, so good. Nice. Thank you for giving me so much to work with, Jed. So much to bounce off of.
Awesome. I'm so glad you. I love this kind of stuff. So I'm really excited to see. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how the wizarding world, not to quote a terribly shitty writer who is a turf, but I'm excited to see how our wizards, react with Nara, and how Nara reacts with them. And
Yeah, I think so too.
and yeah, I'm really, I think it's cool. I think there's a really cool society out there, and we're building something neat. So I'm excited to see, and I'm glad that I got all of this history down. There's still a lot of mystery there to find,
Yeah.
but you got all my big points, right?
Nice. I'm so glad, because I went digging for them. I was like, tell me.
Yeah.
So Luke makes an argument and has a question. The argument was for embodiment for that moment and accepting the spirit's deal.
Yeah.
That felt very telling.
Yeah.
It was definitely a moment where I, as Sean, as the player, had to think really hard about what I cared about. And then I looked to my beliefs and I said, oh, all my beliefs tell me I have to do this. So I'm going to do this. So if you think that's true as well, I would take the embodiment persona, but I'm happy. Generally, the way we do it is we only give one award. Sometimes we give multiple awards. I don't know.
Right.
We don't tend to. And then Luke also asked about what that deed point was. That deed point was an inherited deed point from the first campaign. I got that because of Bina got a deed at the very end, and Jed let me pass it on to Nara. That's what that's doing. It was super cool getting all this stuff, and I feel like this was a really good exposition episode. Not that they won't have more where we learn, but there was a lot of Nara asking what's up with that, and having opinions, and I like that she learned it from all these different sources. Here's Kaji with his shtick, and here's Bezor with his shtick, and here's what's the name of the wizard who not Arch-Mage?
His name was Erant. Man, I hope it's Erant, because it's Erant now. Yes. Well, no, it was Anterr. I'm sorry. Anterr attempted. Anterr.
Anterr. Awesome. And from Anterr, and a minstrel. I mean, that was, I don't know. That was fun.
It was good. I like playing. I don't know. I like Bezor a lot. I didn't know if I'd get his.
I like him a lot too.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did my dumb joke about an Arch-Mage just being an old wizard who has a bad back, did that genuinely make you laugh, or did that just make Bezor laugh?
Both. I mean,
Awesome.
I think, and I also liked. I don't know. You don't see wizards laugh a lot, I mean, Gandalf did a bit, but I don't know. I like that. I like that that he's kind of full of life, and that he finds Nara genuinely funny.
Nice.
I want a teacher who is enjoying his student, and So
nice.
I don't know.
I'm very glad, because I very rarely can make jokes, and I'm glad that one around. And I'm going to take a fate for humor.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
because that's so rare.
Showstopper.
It happens so infrequently.
Yeah.
And I'm just it's such a small thing, but it makes me happy.
Sounds good. Take it. Take that shit.
Andy asked, how do you spell the mage's name? There's a bunch of mage's names. The mage that I just talked to was Anterr, Anterr. And the mage that that it teaches me is
Bezor.
Bezor.
Bezor, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Relationships. Bezor. Yep. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. So many wizards.
So many wizards. Yeah, and there are a lot more too. Like I wrote down the names of a lot of wizards.
Very cool.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
Luke said he feels like an origin, which I think is a huge compliment, because anything that you could steal from Nora's work is fantastic.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I'm honored.
Yeah, Shattered Earth is such a good series. All right, well, we should sign off. It is late, and this was such a good time. Always is, but start of the campaign, I kind of never know. We kind of never know which direction it's going to go.
Yeah,
and
it's very exciting.
Yeah, I had a blast with this one. So everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for contributing. Everybody who gave us ideas in chat. I'm Sean. I use he him pronouns. We'll be playing, I think, later this week. Oh, next game we have is Judd's game, RoboCon tomorrow.
Yeah.
But that's it for me. Yeah, I had a great time. How about you, Judd?
Hey, I'm Judd, he, him. Happy Hanukkah, happy Kelmas, which is the new holiday that got made in our Rebel Crown game. We haven't made a new holiday in this game yet, but I'm sure it's coming. And thank you so much. Our chat is the absolute best, and Andy and Luke and DLZ and everybody who's there, you are all a joy, and I appreciate every single one of you. DLV, sorry. And thank you. Luke is also there in the Rebel Crown game, and they play a priest. And so if you want to join us and see how that goes tomorrow, please do. It is a lot of fun, and it's just been lovely to. I don't know. Our chat is like just perfect. It's like, yeah. There's nothing that can replace like sitting around a group of table with friends, but this gets really super close because it's like a bunch of our friends are in chat, saying cool stuff and being lovely while they do their stuff, on their own, and it's just great. So thanks for playing, Sean. It's been nice. I'm excited to see how this keeps building. I'm really
yeah
it's good.
I'll have some very different beliefs. Not very different, but I'll have some inspired by this session beliefs. For you.
I bet. I'm curious to see how that shakes out. Cool.
Yeah. All right. Good night, all. Take care.
Good night.